Hello everyone and welcome to Performance on Wheels. My name is Todd. My son Austin and I make all sorts of videos on all sorts of different cars, and today we have something a little unusual. You see, my son was in the search. He was deep into the interwebs looking for a car for the winter time and for his daily driver, as his Z06 Corvette just simply cannot cut it in a Minnesota winter. And although he was looking for a truck, all of a sudden we have a 19-foot long 2007 Lexus sitting in our driveway.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Introducing my 2007 Lexus LS460L, and a lot of people, I've read a lot of stuff about this car in the last day that I started reviewing it.
You're an expert.
I kind of am not an expert at all, actually. However, I've dug into these things quite a bit, and a lot of people actually call this the most unreliable Lexus ever made. Did you know that? However, if you start digging into the reasons that this car is so-called unreliable, you would be very surprised. There is three main components that are the most unreliable of these vehicles.
Do you think we should talk about these in the upcoming buyer's guide?
Yes, we are going to talk about these in the upcoming buyer's guide, but I just wanted to go through and give a thorough walkthrough of my brand new 2007 Lexus that has 238,000 miles on it. So this super unreliable Lexus with 238,000 miles on it, I just picked up for $5,000. That was traded into my dealership recently. This Lexus has been in the state of Minnesota the majority of its life, and there's very, very little rust on it. It is an extremely clean car. I've had people come up to me already that knew that I purchased this for my work, and some of them have 50,000 mile cars, and they're like, Austin, my 50,000 mile Infiniti Q60 that I love with everything in me has 5 times the amount of rock chips on the front end than your 238,000 mile Lexus does. Today we are going to dive deep into my Lexus that I know quite honestly nothing about. I'm going to throw it up in the air. I'm going to check out the underside of this thing. I'm going to clean out the whole interior and wash the exterior. And we're going to see what I managed to pick up for $5,000 with 238,000 miles on it. We're going to have a lot of videos coming in the future on this thing, but without further ado, let's start cleaning this thing up and see what I managed to purchase.
And I'm just excited you're going to clean something.
To start off, let's give a thorough walk around of this Lexus and see how it looks after 238,000 miles. Starting off up front, very impressed with how few rock chips that are actually on this Lexus. As you can see, this model is equipped with front parking sensors. We do have this piece comes out and it sprays washer fluid over your headlights, keeping that clean. This Lexus does have a clear bra on it, which definitely helps out with those rock chips. And I'd be curious to see how nice the front end of this thing looks when we take that off. There is some aftermarket wheels on this Lexus that do need new tires. I ordered a new set of tires, so we'll feature those in a video coming soon. Check out how absolutely massive these front brakes are in this thing. I'm not sure if they're 6-piston. They definitely look like it. I'm guessing 6 or 4. Huge front brakes on this Lexus. And as we can see here, looking at these fenders, I shouldn't even say very little, 0 rust along this entire section. Obviously that's plastic there, but along this whole metal section, being in Minnesota after 238,000 miles, no rust. Very, very impressive. Do notice there's a couple of door dings here and here. Does unlock with touch in the front, locks with touch in the front, does not appear, unlocks with touch in the back, locks with touch in the back. So that's pretty dang cool. And as we move around to the back, no rust starting around this whole area either. These tires are bald as can be, as you can see, and big brakes in the rear as well. As I continue to work my way around the Lexus, we do have a power rear trunk. However, one of the faults of this Lexus, which was included in the sale, is this rear button does not work. It no longer functions. The new button is included. Oh, look at that. It actually worked that time. Interesting. So that button just must be slightly going bad. As you can see, there's some wear and tear on it, but it does have a power-up trunk. It did come with the factory wheels. Quite a roomy trunk in the back of this Lexus. And the power down, of course, does work as well. We do have the dual rear exhausts for that large V8. And as we move back here, this is the only area of the car we have some damage, a few scratches in the rear bumper, both here and here. As we move our way forward, another scratch, a small dent on the crease that's going to be challenging to get out, and some bubbling and rust starting right here. So this is the only damage. It's funny that it all happens to be like right in this panel is on this car. I'm going to try to see if I can somehow manage to fix this. I'm going to look in forums and see what I can find, but this is usually quite the booger to repair. And again, on this side, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. As I move into this LS, let's go ahead and pop the hood and show you what's under it. Opening the hood of the LS, you're going to find a whole lot of plastic, which is kind of what you're going to find all over the LS. This is supposed to be the most luxurious Lexus that has ever been built, and they did so by covering everything up with plastic and using as much product as they possibly could to sound deaden and make the interior as quiet as it possibly can be. And I must admit, it is very impressive, even with it being, what, 15 years old now? Should also mention, absolutely zero rust starting on the edge of this hood anywhere, which is very impressive considering a lot of Ford products have this, even when they're from like 2017, 2018, and this thing's from 2007. Now I have checked all of these, but all 4 doors do have soft close. As you can see there, definitely quite satisfying, and it's very impressive how heavy these doors are. Now this Lexus was not cleaned when I bought it, so it is a little bit dirty in here, and we're going to get to that today. Very impressed with how high quality all the materials in here. Like, all of this leather is so unbelievably plush. All of the power seat functions work inside of this thing. It is very, very impressive just how unbelievably nice and high quality this interior is. No rips, no tears, no nothing after, 238,000 miles. Reclining rear seats, heated and cooled in front and rear. Just lots of amazing functionality inside of this Lexus, and it's definitely been taken care of its entire life. Let's go ahead and start it up. This Lexus does feature the 19-speaker Mark Levinson sound system, which is controlled through this touchscreen display. One thing that's also crazy, this Lexus have a self-parking. The mirrors dim down automatically. I did not show this one, but the mirrors automatically pull themselves down, and you have a few self-parking options, which is just unbelievable for 2007. Now, as we move down a little bit further to put this thing in drive, you will see that this is the first ever Lexus, and actually first vehicle in the world, to be paired to an 8-speed transmission. Now, for being from 2007, quite honestly, this thing does not feel very dated. I just previously owned a 2011 Dodge Charger, and this infotainment feels dramatically more modern. Even though it does look a bit dated, its functionality is quite impressive. It actually moves faster than a lot of modern Fords do. Like, the speed that the whole system works is literally faster than some modern cars, which is just unbelievable. No, it does not have Apple CarPlay. No, it does not have Android Auto. I am not sure if I can add it in. I haven't looked into it yet. However, it's very impressive just the way that it sits. One thing that is quite nice, look at how this thing opens. It kind of like rolls itself back. Very satisfying feeling, and then this kind of lifts. Kind of cool. But we do have an aux cord, so it's not that dated. You can just plug yourself in and use an aux. We also have the heated and cooled seats up front. Every single function in this car works except for one, and let me show you what it is. If I go ahead and press this button here into auto, it means when I shut the car off, the heated mirror or the folding mirrors are going to fold themselves in. If I press it over one more time, it means the mirrors will fold in. So if I press it, mirror folds right on in. However, my passenger one is not working, so I will have to look into that. That's the only flaw I found with this car. But as you saw when we were down there, front parking sensors, rear parking sensors, heated steering wheel. It did cost me $83 to fill this vehicle up with premium. However, when I did fill it up, I had over 500 miles of range. Because with this big V8 and the 8-speed transmission, you can expect upwards of 20 miles per gallon. I think that's safe to say that it concludes the quick interior exterior walk around of the Lexus. Now let's go ahead. Oh, you can actually see the power rear seat going back as I open the door up there to make it easier to get in. rear climate and all that good stuff back here. Super cool. But I think that concludes the exterior walk around and interior walk around. I showed you the flaws of the car and everything that I'm aware of the day that I've owned it now. Let's go ahead and see how well we can clean this 238,000 mile car up. All right, I just got done cleaning up the exterior and the inside of the Lexus with help of my girlfriend Skylar. And you guys, I am genuinely impressed. After 240,000 miles, the whole purpose of this video was just to basically show off the overall quality of the Lexus, because this car was dirty when I picked it up, and I just wanted to clean it up and see what was truly underneath the dust and grime. And now that I did that, I mean, you can truly just see, like, I mean, this car was well cared for. There's no doubt about it, but it's truly impressive. This is just a handprint, it looks like, and that's on the clear bra, just so you know. I mean, it's insane how there's like basically 0 rock chips on the front of this car with 240,000 miles on it. Like that's the only little bit of rust that we see after being in Minnesota its whole life. I did lift it up in the air. However, having it up in the air with the lighting that I had, I did not take any video, but I do have photos, and there is no rust on the underside of this car. It's unbelievable. I can't believe how little rust is on not only the underside metal components, but also the bolts and stuff. The only sign of rust on the underside of this car is there's exhaust shields that basically cover up the majority of the exhaust all the way around this car, and a lot of those exhaust shields are breaking or coming apart. It's basically just for interior sound deadening, and there's just so many covers and panels, and of course over time those are gonna break down. So I just put some additional exhaust clamps on the exhaust, and everything is perfectly fine on the underside of this thing. The only thing that is mechanically wrong with this car as it sits right now is the power passenger side mirror is not folding in, and on the driver's side the inner tie rod end has a very small amount of play, and of course it needs some new tires, all of which I would consider maintenance items other than the mirror. But quite honestly, I can't believe that the mirrors lasted that long, because I mean that just seems like a big failure point, especially in the hot cold climate that we have here in the state of Minnesota. I think it's very funny, I somehow didn't notice this when I just did the walk around, but this was hanging up like this. It appears that just this little plastic clip on the edge is broken here, and it popped up when I went through the wash. So for now I'm just going to push it down, and it does kind of snap into place, but it definitely has lost some of the clipping that it used to have prior. Some plastic is missing for sure, so we're going to try to use some glue and get this trim piece to hold itself back down. And moving on to the interior, after we cleaned that up, I cannot believe, like, there's some salt in the carpet. Of course, you cannot avoid that. But, I mean, the leather, the quality of the leather, this is getting worn. But there is nothing that has started to cause holes. The previous owner definitely had kids. You could tell because it was kind of dirty back here. But I mean, no holes, no rips, no tears. Everything easily came out, making this interior so unbelievably clean, and it still feels so high quality to this day. Because, I mean, if you put this into a payment calculator or an inflation calculator, I mean, you are talking about in 2007 this being a near $130,000 sedan. Here's some of the stuff that was included from the previous owner. We have the trunk opener, little piece that goes into the trunk that I mentioned that's having an issue. Got ourselves a spare HID headlight bulb. This original piece that must have came wrapped around the seat when you bought this near $90,000 car in 2007, telling you it had genuine leather, how to use a push button start, because nothing had push button starts in 2007, how to use the self parking system, how all of the safety system works. So that's kind of cool that we kind of have this piece that was included in the car back when it was new, and we also have the owner's manual as well. So cool to see all this stuff still managing to go along with the car. So I bought a $5,000, 240,000 mile Lexus LS460L. And I could not be happier with my purchase. This is the ultimate daily driver for $5,000. Be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, because I'm gonna have all types of different videos coming out, documenting my ownership history, documenting a buyer's guide, doing some fun mods to this car possibly. And I mean, I just am so in love with this car. I have owned 17 cars. This is my 17th car I've ever had. This is one of the cheapest vehicles that I've ever purchased. And I kid you not, this is the second favorite car of mine that I've ever owned, just day 3 of ownership. So I'm excited to document my ownership history, talk about reliability concerns, because a lot of people say this is the most unreliable Lexus ever, but I'm going to be talking about that in a future video because I truly think that's not accurate, but we're going to talk about that more in the future. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video. Let me know what you guys think of the LS, and I think this is one of the greatest automotive platforms ever built.